Hello there! I don't know about you, but I'm kind of addicted to Marvel Rivals. It's taken over my life, so much so that I thought we should geek out together and look at a bunch of secrets and Easter eggs hidden in Marvel Rivals. From a never-ending staircase to the return of the Pet Avengers. Let's do this! Let's begin in Doctor Strange's Sanctum Sanctorum, which is currently tangled between realities. Look around and you'll find everyone here loves eating calamari, squids on the table, an octopus in the fridge, and look up to see the remains of a giant octopus. This may be Shuma Gorath, or more likely Gargantos, who faced Doctor Strange and Wong in the Multiverse of Madness. And speaking of Wong, his portrait proudly sits in the Sanctum, and hopefully one day we'll see him join Marvel Rivals. He looks like a tanky vanguard to me, probably because of all the cooking he's been doing. Many people are just finding out about Doctor Strange's pet doggo. This is Bats, a spectral basset hound that Strange cared for the time he was a veterinarian. He really was an animal doctor. That's a story for another time. Right now, Bats floats around the New York Sanctum, admiring the painting of him and his master before going for a nap. And look, he has his own plush toys. And one of those is Mr. Fantastic. The coolest thing about Bats in Marvel lore is that he can speak, and depending on which character you choose, this can happen.
Doc reads me the Daily Bugle. That Jonah Jameson jerk has got it all wrong about you, kid.
Oh, thanks, puppers. You really are a Spider-Man's best friend.
Hey, you haven't happened to see my old friend Monkey Joe on the other side, have you?
Possibly. I've chased my fair share of ghost squirrels.
When the Sanctum isn't filled with warring superheroes and villains, be sure to check out all the artifacts and relics. There are so many. Here's the ones I've identified so far. There are two very important books in Marvel lore. The Darkhold, which the Scarlet Witch loves to read. It's basically an encyclopedia of dark magic. It's also the season's battle pass name, which of course I had to pick up, mainly for the Wolverine and Scarlet skins. In the Multiverse of Madness, the Darkhold made Wanda nigh on undefeatable.
The Darkhold.
You're familiar with the Darkhold?
I know it's the Book of the Damned, and that it corrupts everything and everyone that it touches.
But luckily, inside this case here, we have the Book of Vishanti, which is the opposite, filled with light magic, good magic, magic of order. This book will tell the holder how to win any battle, however impossible the scenario is, which is quite helpful, as the lore of Marvel Rivals tells us Doctor Strange is trapped in the entangled astral plane. We'll break that down in a future story video. Right now, back to Easter eggs. We all know how epic the Eye of Agamotto is. You've likely been hit with it many times in Marvel Rivals, but did you know Agamotto had an orb too, which is used to foretell the future, like a crystal ball or a scrying pool. This version is a globe of the Earth, which shows us any magical threats Strange needs to be aware of. Right now, I think we're okay. At the other side of the walkway is a simple fire pit. You may not think much of it, but you should. Get close enough and you'll spot entire solar systems through the flames. This is the Cauldron of Cosmos that allows the Sorcerer Supreme to peer into the depths of space to ponder the mysteries of life. In the movies, the cauldron wasn't used, but Iron Man did lean on it once.
Seriously leaning on the cauldron of the cosmos.
Never know. I'm going to allow that.
The Cloak of Levitation really did just slap Iron Man. In-game, Strange is already wearing that cloak, which likely broke out of this cabinet here. Opposite that is another cloak. I believe this is a callback to the original Doctor Strange, who wore a blue cloak back in his OG comic book run. And more up to date, this version was spotted in the last Doctor Strange movie when he learnt the fate of Earth 838 Doctor Strange. Mr. Fantastic is carrying it. It's the blue cloak of levitation, which has a silver hem upon it. And back over to the comic books and the 2015 run of Doctor Strange, and everything comes together. This is the hooded blue cloak with the same hemlines and a mighty similar gemstone too. Be honest, which would you wear, the blue or the red? We have so much more to look at. Next to the Book of Vishanti is a Wand of Wudum, a foot-long baton with demon heads. I know this from another Marvel game, Spider-Man 2, and the scene in which Black Cat steals it from this very building. Kat uses it to instantly teleport anywhere imaginable, like the polar ice caps or France to visit her girlfriend. The Wand of Watum is said to be only limited by the imagination of the holder, and some people have weaponized it in the past, whereas others just like it for quick travel. Oh, and the small print says it's also cursed, so maybe we leave that one where it is. Across the room is the Endless Scroll of Watum, a precious source of magical knowledge that gives the reader the ability to control wind. Yeah, I was expecting something bigger and better, but no, it's just the power of wind. It's happily floating there, waiting for someone to translate it. Let's take a second to walk up this staircase. And it quickly becomes apparent, this is an infinite staircase in the middle of a superhero battlefield. Totally useless, but highly amusing. And I salute the dev who put this in the game. I also spent 10 minutes doing this just in case something happened. It didn't. Back to those relics, and here is the Yggdrasil Staff, made from a fragment of Yggdrasil, which I'm sure you know is the Tree of Life in Norse myth, and a figurative and literal connection between the 9 realms. In Marvel Rivals lore, Asgard and Yggdrasil have combined to become Ixgard, whereas in the MCU, Loki held together the roots of reality, which got its own nod of respect in Rivals last season. The Yggdrasil Staff in the comic books had the ability to bring characters back to life, namely the frost giant Laufey and the dark elf Malekith. Potentially even more characters coming to Rivals in the years to come. I think this is the Axe of Angarumus. Doctor Strange found this in a witch's crypt. Not weird enough for you? That crypt was in the center of the moon. Really was, and coincidentally, the current moon is blood red right now as Dracula's grip on the city increases. In the comic books, Strange loves a good old axe battle, but not so much in the movies. Luckily, in the Marvel Sons video game, the Axe of Angarumus gets some action. We're only scratching the surface. There are so many more to find and identify, like this one, and this one, and this one. Please let me know in the comments and share the secrets you've discovered. Because now it's time to leave the Sanctum and venture into the streets of New York. Marvel Rivals' latest edition is a new convoy mission that takes us across town all the way to Avengers Tower, driven there by Herbie, or humanoid experimental robot B-type integrated electronics, to give him his full name. Yeah, we'll stick with Herbie. We begin our push here at the Baxter Building, the home of the Fantastic Four, and by selecting the husband and wife duo of Mr. Fantastic and the Invisible Woman, they can chat about their upcoming evening activities.
Please tell me this isn't the date night you've been planning for us, Reed.
No, but when you think about it, what could be more romantic than saving the universe side by side?
Literally anything.
Noted.
Here on the streets of New York, there are countless Easter eggs and references you need to see. Mr. Knight's agency can be spotted, which is one of Moon Knight's multiple identities. This version of the Secret Avenger is a detective and police consultant who always looks dapper in a suit.
You said I needed a suit. Yeah, the ceremonial armor from Conchu's temple, not Psycho Colonel Sanders.
Oh, and to remind us about the god living rent-free in his head, Khonshu statues are everywhere. A little down the street, this car can be found. Check out the number plate, SPKTR, Spectre. We know this belongs to one of Moon Knight's alter egos. We first saw it in comic book form, back in Moon Knight Volume 7, and it was also spotted in the TV series when Khonshu visited a former avatar. Elsewhere in New York, we can spot multiple references to Marvel characters who aren't yet in the game. Daredevil is hinted at by his Nelson and Murdoch attorneys at law ads, whereas this ad for Van Dyne's fashion boutique, who makes Squirrel Girl's attire by the way, is owned by Janet Van Dyne, who became the Wasp. Hope is her daughter, who also attained that mantle in the movies. Herbie will take us through Fisk Tower. This is the home of Wilson Fisk, aka the crime Kingpin. I'll never forget the first time I fought Kingpin in Marvel's Spider-Man, in this very building. Good times.
In 1 month you'll wish you had me back!
Dazzler, the musician that can convert sound into energy, is going on a world tour, according to this poster. Dazzler is constantly underestimated, but what's stopping her weaponizing all that energy?
Didn't I tell you she's something?
I missed something in the Sanctum. This image here can be found on the wall, and I think this is Zelma Stanton, the librarian who works with Doctor Strange. Her backstory is pretty crazy. She had an infestation in her head. She had literal mind maggots. evil little beings jumping out of her skull. After being cured, she stuck around and eventually became more attuned to magic herself. Across the street from the Sanctum is Frost International. In the comics, this is a Fortune 500 company owned by Winston Frost, a multimillionaire, yet it's his kids we need to give attention to. Everyone knows about Emma Frost, who can morph her skin into invulnerable diamond. Emma definitely gets the most attention in the family, but she has 3 siblings, all with psionic powers. Maybe the Frost family will be coming to take on Marvel's first family. A really cool location to visit during the convoy mission is the Bar with No Name. In the comic book, this is a secret spot supervillains go to relax and socialize. Spider-Man once got a spider bot in there to see what criminals do when no one's around. Nobody wants to be a bad guy all the time, they need some time off. Supposedly, there is a bar with no name in every city, so I guess this is the New York branch. So if you're playing as a bad guy, take a load off, maybe have a game of put, maybe not. So, everyone loves Jeff the Land Shark, and next time you're in the New York Sanctum, go talk to bats, and this will happen.
Maybe it's time to call together the old Pet Avengers. What do you say, Jeffy?
And yup, the Pet Avengers really are a thing. I remember one time they took out Thanos.
Eaten by a dog. This is almost as embarrassing as the Thanos copter.
Marvel rivals, when are we getting the Thanos copter? I'm Adam, you're awesome, it's been a pleasure. I'll see you next time.